enjoy My Little Pony. I am going to sit up here and explain to all of you why you like watching a 5-year-old's pastel pony show for little tiny girls. AKA Brony Church.
Yay!
I didn't name it that. You all did.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's on you.
Shall we confess our sins now or later?
Later.
By the Holy Book of Celestia. You may confess at the end of the panel during questions and answers. Anyway, I will do some random voice impressions and other horrible things that can probably get me booed off stage as we go. And at the very end, I have something to say. That's after Q&A, that's after everything else, and something to show you. Please, please.
Come on in.
I'm going to preface this before we begin and before I show a single slide that if you feel the need to get up and go outside, do so. I have seen people cry. I have seen people break down. I had a mother once wailing in the front row inconsolably. It's okay. If, however, you are relatively friendly with your neighbor and just need to hug them or lean on them, that's okay. We're going to talk about depression. We're going to talk about rage, anger, hatred. We're going to talk about what it's like to go to work every day, have to clock in and lose all of your personality. We're going to talk about death, suicide, divorced parents, subjects that should be heavier than a 5-year-old, that the show's going to break down to where my 8-year-old cousin has the conceptual understanding to know why I'm upset.
The kitchen, right?
Family show.
I'm sure.
Who am I? I am Fiora the Tank Girl. I apologize if I'm a little rusty. This is the first time I've been in a room with more than one person in almost a year. That's not an exaggeration. I live in the desert. The only way for me to get groceries usually is to have them delivered. I'm a bit of a hermit. And I have been unable to afford to go to conventions for nearly an entire year. Thank you, Everfree. I'm telling this to the staff member in the back right now for providing me with a plane ticket, a taxi to get to do the 2-hour ride to the airport, and a hotel room because I am flat broke.
No, seriously, thanks, guys.
I have an associate's in biology. I have a bachelor's in human sexuality, and I have a master's in human communication. My thesis was on lost media. I could be your therapist tomorrow, though. I don't want to be, but I could be. I am here because one of the founding members of BabsCon decided that one day they would invite me to play a character at their convention, a mascot. And me being on my 1 week of the year where the dice said this is the week of yes, that is an entire week where if anyone makes a semi-reasonable request, I will agree to it and we'll go do the thing. I don't tell people what week it is, and it's rolled randomly every year. Yes, I have a special D52 for that. Well, she invited me to go play a mascot. I liked it. She then asked me, how old were the ponies? The next year. 72 hours later, I had an answer. For all of them.
Every last one.
Now, this character, you see her up here, is the character I wrote and play in Fallout Equestria. We play every Wednesday night. We've been playing for 5 years. There's a banner in the charity auction to represent having run a live stream game for 5 years that is actually profitable enough to not only pay the GM, but keep his lights on.
Nice.
Furthermore, it's popular enough that it's literally one of the most popular things I do every week, which is weird.
Very.
It's been 5 years. One of these people still can come back.
Like you should. No, come on.
Now, we're going to jump right in. First, the most obvious thing the show tackles. How do you make a friend
It's
that
real
you don't
hard.
know in a place you're unfamiliar with? Let's see how they handle it, shall we?
So friends! Look on the bright side, Twilight. The princess arranged for you to stay.
So, you get sent off somewhere, you don't want to go there. That's fair.
Like a convention.
I know, right?
A convention full of a bunch of strangers. In this case, coming into a room with a crazy person on stage.
Have interesting things to talk
Sit
about.
anywhere. Over here. This is the reaction you're expecting. I love this one.
Hi.
That's what you're expecting to happen.
Interesting, all right. My name is.
Here's what actually happens.
Well, how do you do? I like a
Oh my
pleasure
God,
lending
it's
your
like
voice.
this.
I'm a.
Once you introduce yourself to a person, they won't shut up.
Friends, actually.
Not that I'm angry about that at all.
What can I do?
I make an active effort to engage everyone I can in a conversation. And there are times this has left me trapped on an airplane, listening to a man go on and on about a sports ball game called soccer that I have zero interest in, and why his daughter is going to the regional championship at Salt Lake City. I had to listen to this on the way to Crystal Mountain PonyCon. We got stuck in the air, dude, that I ever would care to know, and I've never watched a game. Yet I will still think fondly of Michael, and I hope one day I meet him again to smile at him and tell him how many times I've said the story. So, how hard is it to talk to someone you don't know? Extremely. How hard is it once you know their name? Easy. Yesterday at Kinko's, I had to go get flyers printed that got most of you into this room. I met an assistant manager named Steve, who he described as a combination of my grandfather and Santa Claus. My grandfather is deceased. By the end of it, Steve and I were laughing at each other's jokes because the computer was being a foul nuisance. As you know, they tend to be. Until he switched over to using Adobe Acrobat's printing program, and then it printed everything instantly.
Oh boy.
Good job, Kinko's. Your special program doesn't work. But once you know someone's name, you can talk to them very easily. For hours. It's a simple matter of introducing yourself. You all have name tags on. How much easier is it to talk to a vendor in the vending hall when they take a second, look at your name tag, and say the name that you want to be called? Think about how much more time you spend at a vending table because the vendor went, "Hi, Flynn." Now, I told you we were going to jump into some heavy stuff immediately. How many of you ever felt guilty about doing something? Don't raise your hands, I'm not that mean. Unless I say raise your hand, don't raise your hand. I'm not that mean. Otherwise, I'd be calling out everyone in the room as a Fluttershy, and that would be wrong. Well, Luna has a pretty bad guilt complex. Let's take a look. And then and then this entire episode explains how guilt actually works. You feel guilty because you did something wrong.
To make sure I never
You want to make sure you don't do it again. And you keep thinking you're doing it over and over again. Luna's guilt complex has apocalyptic consequences.
Might just be the key to stopping all this. Yeah, if it gets dropped because you feel bad about what you did in Nightmare Moon, then you've just got
Someone else steps in.
How can I forgive myself? I am no better now than I was.
Tonight,
then. My creation
you go back to feeling guilty about what you did.
Really nightmare. But look at what you're doing. Nightmare Moon
Then they say the right
intended
word.
us to turn Equestria into a nightmare. You're doing everything you can to stop it. Don't you see? That proves you're not the same pony you were then. Every pony who knows you knows that Nightmare Moon is in the past. We all trust you, Luna. Do you trust us enough to believe we're right? I do.
And the guilt cycle breaks. Hello. Did you really bring boxes of Kleenexes? I did.
Prepared! Prepared! This man is prepared.
Absolutely. Guilt is a self-repeating, self-perpetuating cycle. You feel guilty. You think about what you did. You feel worse about it. You feel guilty. If you sit there in your own head and continuously go over and over and over, nothing happens. You stay there. It doesn't break. It doesn't end. It keeps going. Entire nations have been destroyed because someone felt guilty and wouldn't listen. But the moment someone breaks through that haze and says, "You've done enough. You finished your restitution. you have made amends and are forgiven. It all falls away. Guilt, like many things that we beat ourselves up over, keeps itself going under its own power, unless someone else steps in and says it's okay. Now I made you all feel guilty, and you're all allowed to be mad at me. Because while I was talking about that, I bet every one of you who has any form of conscience thought about it and went, I feel guilty about a thing I did yesterday.
Bruh.
You know, that's fair. So, let's talk about anger. Oh, hi, Trixie. Some of you saw this as one of the test clips.
Oh, I'm at the castle and I thought I wanted ice cream.
She's doing exactly what Starlight told her to do. Going over where her mind went. That resulted in the table disappearing.
Okay.
Look at Starlight's mad at her. Everything Trixie does is wrong.
Are you okay, Starlight? Because
Best line of the show.
What's the word?
Wow.
No, I am great. Did your saddlebag just glow? No. Beginning. I'll give it here. What's in it?
The most common lie in the English language is I'm fine. It is preceded by the question of how are you? I choose to never say those words, I'm fine. It makes people look at me funny. If you ask how I am, did you not actually want the answer? But it causes people to have pause when you answer in ways that are not just, oh, I'm fine. No, you're not. Because when someone says they're fine, they're usually hiding something and don't want to admit it. But in this case, bottling up your anger will always lead to something explosive. There are two forms of anger, explosive and implosive. Implosive is the kind that results in horrible, horrible things happening in schools. Explosive is the kind where a person who sits at the register and yells at the cashier because they won't take their coupon. But allowing anger to fester will always cause the implosion or the explosion to be greater at the end of the day. An example, I am mad at Fauna. Hi, I'm just going to use an example. I'm not actually mad at you. She's having lunch. I look over, look at her eating saltine crackers like she owns the place. Because when I'm mad at someone, just like when you're mad at someone, every little thing they do is wrong. It's incorrect. It is in some way offensive. All she's doing is eating her lunch. I'm still mad at her. Now if I go up to her and I go, I'm mad at you because blah, 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 blah. Can we fix this? And you go, sure. I will sit down with you and we will reasonably, hopefully talk it out. Understand something else about anger as well. The moment you raise your voice at another human being, you've lost. Because that other human being is now no longer going to listen to a thing you say, or is going to do everything in their power to just get you to stop yelling. There's no winner there. There's only two losers. You made one of them, and you are the other. Welcome to anger. It sucks. But if I simply walk over to the person and say, I'm mad at you, let's deal with it, and work it out. We might not be friends anymore, but at least I can tolerate that. Come on in, it's okay to be late. Alright, listen up. Next few slides don't have a ton of pictures, that's on purpose. I want you to focus on what I'm saying rather than, a pretty pastel pink pony. I don't like pink pie. I'm so pretty pastel pink pony. So, depression time, everybody.
Good boy.
It's a fun day in neighborhoods. You all thought this was going to be pink pie. It will be shortly.
Sorry it hasn't worked out how we wanted. But you have to believe me when I tell you that Nightmare Night
There's
is
more
one of
than
the
one
most
way to be
popular
rejected.
celebrations we have. Yes.
We're going to go over that.
Tell.
But I need to do these together.
Children as they run away. Princess.
That's what it feels like to be rejected. You become depressed. And there's
It'll
multiple
sing it.
projections.
No,
This is what depression does to you. Spike is a sounding board in this picture. He is not a person. He's just something to bounce your idea off
They don't
of.
like your parties and they don't want to
And
be your
Pinkie
friends.
Pie is only going to stop when she when he actually answers the way she wants him to. And then she realizes she's depressed about it.
Friends will like my parties and they don't want to be my friends.
Depression, just like guilt, is a self-perpetuating cyclical event.
So...
A little levity.
I mean,
Where'd she get those gems? Was that like her life savings?
oh, they're everywhere. Don't worry about it.
She's a rock farmer. She dug them up.
Yeah.
How many of you have been rejected in your life? All of you probably, at least once.
I mean,
Your objective is to get people to say yes, but you don't understand how. You don't understand why they won't just say yes. Because human beings are innately, we're here to say yes. They don't want to disappoint other human beings. That's just how we are. That's how we're built. But you have to make yes more appealing than no. Want your boss to change something at work? Cool. Don't just suggest it. Give him the entire action plan to get it done. Include who would be doing what parts. And then if he says, well, that person can't do it, have a backup in mind. Make it nearly impossible for your boss to say no. Want that pretty girl or guy to actually say yes when you ask them out? Take a shower, put on cologne, perfume. Guys, it's okay to wear makeup. Everyone you see on camera does.
yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
We don't bite, usually.
Unless you're really hungry.
I mean, I haven't had breakfast this morning.
Do you want your parents to agree to come see you without any pretense? Make it where they have to say yes to your terms. There are times when being rejected is awful, and there are times when having to reject someone is a necessity. It's not always about compromise. Sometimes it's about initiative. You have to seize it. Two Fleming brothers up front who have been to this panel 6 times are like, oh crap, she did that stuff. Too many ponies, too many people. Some of you are Fluttershy's. I'm not going to call you out or make you raise your hands. That would be awful.
That'd be horrible.
Socially anxious person, raise your hand. Absolutely not.
No, thank you.
Let's talk about it. This is what you guys are like when you do something amazing. This is what I'm like. I have imposter syndrome from all get out. And this is what the pushy friend is trying to do. The wrong way to deal with social anxiety. In every way possible.
Perform for your Brony Pet Center fundraiser tomorrow night. Well, you see, this simply must be rectified. You must share that stunning voice at the event. Yeah! You'll be so
And this is their subconscious. By the way, Pinkie Pie, you're a bad pony.
Yes.
This entire scene, Pinkie Pie is an awful pony. The entire episode, she's not on her best game. This is what's going through the socially anxious person's mind. What is that face?
No.
Bad. The newspaper. Bark with the newspaper.
That's why Pinkie Pie is my least favorite pony.
By the way, side note, we have that newspaper as an emoji in my Discord that we throw at people. However, you want to take care of your socially anxious friend. You want to bring them to a convention. They're scared to death. Understand your objective as a friend is not to be there to do it for them. It is to be there to catch your friend when they fall. Much as this cane is here in case my light decides to randomly go to sleep again. It is to be there in case, to hold their hand, to stand in front of them and shield them, and slowly they will get more and more comfortable, more and more used to the idea that it's okay to go out with other people around them. And then what you'll find is they're walking beside you. And then in a strange moment, you'll see it happen. They're the one dragging you now.
That happens.
They're still socially anxious. They're still a little socially awkward. But by God, I'm going to get dragged all the way across the convention center to see John Delancey, whether I want to or not.
He's gonna be in Rhode Island.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's what happens. And slowly, you will see this happen. This took 4 seasons.
What did you say?
No.
Oh, I hate to be you right now, because Iron Will is going to rain down a world of hurt unless Iron Will gets his money. Not so.
As I recall, during the workshop, I promised 100%
Time out.
satisfaction guarantee.
Bruh.
And yet, well, I'm not satisfied.
What do you mean you're not satisfied? Every pony has always been satisfied.
Well, I guess I'm the first thing. But since I'm not satisfied, I refuse to pay. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, pick it up all.
Are you sure you're not just a little bit satisfied? Because maybe we could cut a deal. I mean, we're both free.
Nope. No deal.
No means no.
Ooh.
Brutal.
Ooh.
Savage.
That's a good catchphrase.
That's a good catchphrase.
That is your goal.
Fatality.
With your socially anxious friends. You're an extrovert who found an introvert and adopted them. Now you want them to become an extrovert. No, you want them to still be an introvert, but you want them to get to the point where they're dragging you, the extrovert, to the thing they want to go to. Where they're the one inviting you, because you've made them so comfortable that it's now natural for them to say, come to the thing. And they'll be upset at you when you say no. And that's okay. But that's where you're going. Understand, it's not okay to let your friends hide from everything. But it's also not okay to shove them out in the open all of a sudden. It's a slow, gradual process. It can take a month. It can take years. It can take a lifetime. But eventually, they're the one yanking you along. And it's so strange to have that feeling that I remember when you couldn't even pose for a picture. And now my wife goes out and acts like she run a door in a full cosplay, complete with a giant sword. She can also bench press me now, which is incredibly weird.
That's interesting.
Because when we met, she could not do that. Okay, I don't have a clip for this one. This is very simple. I have a master's in human communication and human sexuality. I could be a marriage counselor tomorrow if I wanted to be. Don't hook up your friends, please! 83.7%, figures as of this morning, of couples counseling starts with, so how did you meet? Our friends hooked us up.
Bruh.
You cannot make love happen. You cannot force it just because you think 2 people are great together. They might not be. You can write shipping fanfics all you want, but when it involves real people, we have a problem. I'm not saying don't write shipping fanfics. They're hilarious.
Really
At
funny.
least to me, all of them. Some of them are adorable, but most of them are hilarious.
Yeah.
Let love happen. You can't force it. You can't make it. And love isn't always forever. Sometimes it's only for a limited time. Understand also that core tenet of human communications that will make everybody slightly depressed. All relationships have a termination point. That termination point could be when I hand the cashier the money and walk out the door. Never see the cashier ever again. The termination point could be a breakup or an end of a relationship or a drifting apart. And that termination point can be death, which we're going to talk about towards the end. However, the joy, happiness, and fulfillment you will receive from any relationship is always a worthy endeavor. I got seats over here. Don't be embarrassed.
Come on in.
Well, come on,
You
man.
came in and sat down in 10 minutes. Because we all have goldfish brains. So, I know most of you, unlike someone who sits as a desert hermit, have to go to a job every morning that has a set schedule, that you have to do certain things. The moment you clock in, it kind of starts feeling like this just happened. uniform, you got a name tag so they can keep up with who is who. Yeah. Even if you have a nickname you prefer, it's probably your legal name. This is what it's like. But here's what's been found through employee research. Did you know employees are happier if you let them just be who they are? You know,
Do you
projects
think?
happen and more efficiently, more profitably, and faster if you let them use the individual skills they have instead of making them do it a certain way?
Maybe you can reminisce another time. She's almost to the cave.
I'll talk about some real-world examples. There are entire research papers that tell corporations that making everyone wear a uniform and be replaceable easily is bad. And yet, this is what it's like for most people to clock out. I left this in because I'm from Alabama.
I can walk like a 5-foot snake hooker in an Appalachian ranch house again. Ranger country is that too.
Y'all don't know nothing about bringing your truck with you, did you?
No, not at all.
So,
got your gun rack too?
what do you want to do? Employee research has found the following. If you allow your employees to work the way they want to, if you allow your employees to decorate their uniforms, if you allow your employees leniency in reasonable amounts, such as putting up a poster or things around their cubicles, they will stay and work for you for 10% less pay. You can literally pay them less. Not a significant amount, but an amount. If you make the workplace environment happier, questions at the end. Thank you. You can actually improve workplace productivity if you do away with dress codes and uniforms. And it's found over and over and over again that employees are willing to put up with a lot more if they can make their individual spaces theirs. So I don't care if he wants to put up a Metallica poster and put a bunch of pony figures on his desk. Let him! Take those motivational posters down. They're worthless.
Oi.
Put up something crazy, because motivational posters have been found to be demotivational.
Bruh.
Raise your hand if you think of rope whenever someone says hang in there.
Yep.
Okay.
Someone give me a rep then.
How about a clip for this one? Don't be either of these two. Find a balance in your emotions and how you express them. Don't be touchy-feely all the time and be completely in touch with yourself to the point that everyone's a little creeped out. But don't be, I'm okay, baka! Every chance you get.
Not like you or anything.
Back.
There's a very simple balance between these two states. Find the one that works for you and the one that makes you personally happy. And stay there. But if it's making everybody else uncomfortable, maybe you've gone one way too far towards one side or the other. And we've all done that. Little white lies don't hurt anything, right?
I don't like pie.
Depends on the lie.
Are we sure about that?
John Cena.
You were all expecting us to be Applejack, weren't you? No?
Pinkie Pie, wait.
The amount of freak out that happened.
Because lying to your friends is wrong. And because
Oh no, it's good. Oh no! The amount of crazy that happened in the house at 11 o'clock at night when my friend Moon and I, who admittedly were high on stuff that I need for painkillers, heard Rainbow Dash go, I don't like pie! And we all went, the lesbian rainbow horse doesn't like pie.
Okay. I mean,
To make up for
But
it, I made
here's
this
an interesting point.
ooh.
Grand gestures are useless. Don't do them. Pinkie Pie doesn't want that. She wants Rainbow Dash to make a tiny little correction and say she's sorry. That's it.
So instead, I'm gonna eat this giant one for you now.
Oh no!
Here I go.
Oh. Also, your house stairs make no sense.
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea.
It's like Picasso and Michelangelo got together and made things. Well, it is Pinkie Pie. Do we expect logic? So, I am the friend who will not lie to spare your feelings. If you come out and have bought an expensive dress and put it on in front of me and it looks absolutely awful, I'm going to look at you. When you go, how do I look? Take that thing back.
No.
Without missing a beat. And some people don't appreciate that, and I understand why. But understand, to me, I'm not going to tell you something to spare your feelings. I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. Directly, without any questions, because I don't want to lie to you. Little white lies also create intricate webs that you have to keep up with. What I said to that person, and what I said to that person, and what I said to that person. Who needs that? Just tell the truth. Even if the person isn't ready to hear it. It's better for everyone in the long run if you don't lie to spare their feelings, or lie because you think you can slide by in this instance. Because eventually it's going to come back to you. It's like Rainbow Dash and 1,536 pies.
Yeah.
I looked it up. Parenting 101. Oh boy. Some of you began watching the show as little children when it came out, and now you're parents. Oh God.
Not me.
So, children understand two basic emotions. Joy is kind of the one they tend to go for and want all the time. And they understand sadness. That's it. That's the two emotions children understand when they're born. I'm happy, I'm upset. That's it. They don't understand why, the complexities of it, and more complicated emotions. You can't treat them like little adults. But they get Pinkie Pie's sad. They want the crying to stop as much as you want them to stop crying.
You know, you're right. That is fun. Dear Princess Celestia,
Yeah?
I've always had fun playing with little kids, and I thought babysitting meant just more playtime,
And the
right?
scary part with kids is figuring out where they are.
Way more responsibility than just being a playing. And today I learned that sometimes our desire for responsibility can outrun our actual ability to handle it.
Pinkie Pie, we're back.
How did everything go?
Children have feelings at all ages. You had feelings when you were 5. An important philosophy to remember is the axe forgets, the tree remembers. Your parents, like mine, make mistakes. Please don't make the same ones. Make all new ones instead.
It's worth fine.
When you're dealing with children, they don't understand things like love, pride, envy, over-fulfillment. They don't understand these things. What they understand is joy and sadness, and everything springs from that. You tend to learn the negative emotions first. Anger, hatred, general deep sadness. But then you learn the positive emotions. And the reason why is your brain needs to understand what is bad before it can understand what is good. So, you can't bring a child to your level. You have to go down to theirs. It's required. They haven't developed the emotional maturity or ability, to come up with what you're actually feeling. But if you can break it down for them, if you can bring it down to where they are, they'll get a tiny bit more mature in that moment. And that tiny seed of maturity will sprout and become easier for them to understand as they grow older. It's fantastically insane to think that at one point you only knew how to giggle and cry. And yet now your face can portray a range of emotions that can simply be described as with but a look. And no, I'm not going to follow that with it's in a book. My wife lives in England. I live in the United States. It is very difficult for me to go live with her because that's the plan. Because one, the U.S. immigration policy is the most expensive in the world. It's $10,000.
Yep.
And two, I still have to go over to England. We see each other once a week. Technically, right now, the time I'm spending with you is the time I'm supposed to be spending with her because it's the day we set aside. I will see her tomorrow instead. However, you cannot micromanage someone
And you
you
were in
love.
this place. You? No. You sent me to Ponyville, which means it's time for me to send Starlight Glimmer away.
Dun, dun, dun.
I can't believe it. It really is time for Starlight to go, isn't it?
Only you can make that decision. It's a difficult one, but your heart knows what's right, even as it hurts.
Where are you gonna
Too
take
soon!
New Jersey.
No,
So,
this is something I have to do.
it is something we have to do.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Tighter and tighter you try to cling on to someone, the further and further they'll move away from you. Overly controlling parents finding that when their kids grow up, their kids want nothing to do with them. Extremist parents find even less that their children want something to do with them and assume something's wrong with the kids. No, it's wrong with you. The fact of the matter is, I have to let her live her life. She has to let me live mine. And we still love each other very much. We still talk to each other once a week, no questions asked. We still catch up as though we were sitting in the room together the whole time. And when we actually see each other and physically touch, we both break down sobbing like a bunch of big babies. And then she proceeds to lift me off the floor, which is a feat in and of itself. But the fact of the matter is, whether they're your friends or lovers, you want to develop the kind of friendship where you cannot see someone for months at a time and then come back to them and be like, you never missed a day. My adoptive parents, Winston and Mary Stokes, affectionately referred to as Tank Mom and Tank Dad. That's how we treat it. I will speak to them sometimes for half a year. Then the moment I talk to them, suddenly I'm over on minutes on my phone bill. And both of us are okay with that. A 10-minute phone call turns into a 6-hour phone call because we treat it like the two of us were never separated. So, try to make your friendships where they're that kind of solid. Where even as you change and grow and adapt, and maybe even shrink, the two of you still treat each other as though you were there the whole time. Now, I'm about to do the part that makes me tear up. Get ready for a wild ride.
It does make sense.
Guys, stop it.
Or maybe whoever did it is only pretending to be upset to throw us off. Me? But I didn't!
I'm just
Come
gonna
on,
let
let
this
it
play.
go.
Because it proves my point.
Come on! Elsalis, you know you did it. Just fess up.
I said stop fighting! That's not what the holidays are about. No matter what you call them, or how you celebrate. Do you know how lucky you all are? There's stories about sharing and kindness and getting together with every creature that you care about.
But griffins do that too, don't they? Some holiday about a moon?
Blue Moon Festival. The one time of year when griffins are nice to each other. Well, as nice as we can be. Families get together to eat and complain about the food and give each other presents they don't like. And Well, so you just try not to yell at each other.
Well, at least you get to be with your family.
No, because I don't have a family.
Gallus was an unwanted street
Not
urchin
any person, actually.
thrown away to a school they were convinced would
Not
fail.
like I never had a place in Griffinstone.
Damn! He had nothing.
Well, had all of you. So I don't want to go home for the break. And that's why I did it.
Griff,
He found himself a family and didn't want to give it up. More than 1 in 3 now, because that number is from 2019. The new number is 41%. Nearly half of all college students don't go home for Christmas for a variety of reasons, ranging from abuse to lack of finances. When the show originally aired, that demographic it was targeting in season 1 are college students now. Some of them are even graduating. I spent this past holiday alone in my apartment. I didn't have the finances to go anywhere. Several people reached out to me and that kept me going. The holidays are also the time of year when emergency rooms require triple the staffing, and all vacations for emergency room personnel are revoked because they're going to be flooded. People have to go home to abusive households. That spirals over in the catastrophic ways. You want to know how you stop it?
Don't make them go home.
Hey, you have a place to go for Christmas? I got a couch and a spare place at my table. Suicide rates skyrocket as well. Former Army buddy of mine drank himself to death because none of our idiot platoon members, including myself, bothered to call him to see if he had a way to get to the get-together. It was the last get-together I attended. Our captain had to come in and announce that he was dead in his apartment on Christmas morning. And then how many of you are like me, just like Gallus? Or even standing here on this stage today, I don't know if I have a plan or not yet. Or if I'm just going to spend this holiday alone again. Yet I'm preaching for all of you to not have to do that. Make sure your friends have a place to be. Even if they can't be there, at least invite them. Divorced parents. This is where I'm going to start getting into the really heavy stuff. And this is also where, when I originally did this research, I had to hack the videos. Because I couldn't get them otherwise, and I can't get them now. Save for a few archives here and there. But since I haven't revised this part, I want you to see the original video I had to work with. Yeah, this is what I had to work with.
Yeah, this is the moment.
Son, there you are. Your friends told us how you've been feeling.
And we're sorry if we ever made you think you had to choose between worlds. That wasn't our intention, honey.
Your hippogriff heritage is something to be proud of, certainly.
But you're more than just where you're from or who you live with. We love you because you're you, no matter where you choose to be.
You don't have to decide. You can keep doing what you've been doing, going back and forth.
And enjoying both places.
Most difficult question a judge has to ask a child.
Something we forgot to ask that both places have.
Who do you want to live with, Mom or Dad?
Thanks for everything.
It's also the most instantly traumatizing thing you can do to them. And it will cause permanent, long-term psychological scarring. You once loved each other enough to have a child, and the sins of the parent should not pass to the sins of the child. You once cared enough to do that, why make it a battleground? They didn't do it. They did nothing wrong. You're going to get divorced because things are working out, because you're fighting, because something else is going on. That's fair. You shouldn't continue a relationship and have to live with each other. But you shouldn't make it their problem either. One of the most glorious things I saw in 2019 was a simple soccer field. 4 people wearing blue shirts with white lettering. Mom, stepdad, stepmom, dad. They agreed to a truce. And unless there's some abusive outlying reason, you should too. And that you should let them go back and forth as they want. And when things get tough, when things get hard, when a child gets rebellious, you should still have enough rapport with the other partner to be willing to sit down and figure it out. Because that's more important. Don't make the same mistakes your parents did. Now, I seem to have missed something here.
A couple of the slides got skipped.
You're right. These are out of order. I just talked about suicide. I'm going to bring us back to it. I'm going to show you 2 suicide interventions. One is done horribly wrong, and the other is done perfectly right. Both of them are in the same show.
Into a million pieces.
This is the first one. This is why I hate Starlight.
Honesty, the pathetic and friendless Trixie's way to go, Dum Dum. You really messed it up this time. Repentance Tour. It's a working title.
That's a cry for help.
Years come true.
That is someone who doesn't want to do this. We know as an audience, she cannot perform this type of magic.
We'll be performing the moonshot.
If she attempts this trick, it is a suicide.
Now.
Because there was no hope.
For when I defy the beast's jaws of doom and appear inside that black box. I was supposed
It's different for a magician to take a risk that's calculated, and a magician to take a risk that's sub-zero probability of success. And Starlight's sitting up on the hill dealing with her interpersonal drama instead of going down there to stop it first. I can't fix dead, Starlight. Deal with your own personal stuff later. Stop the person from ending it now. Even if you're not going to be friends afterwards. I can fix a lot of stuff. I can replace most of your organs in the hospital. I can fix your psychological problems, or at least make them palatable to yourself. I can't fix dead.
But it's not my place to judge. It's all up to you.
Twilight, you're also being a terrible princess.
Starlight, if you're out
This is what happens when interpersonal relationships come before
let's
professionalism.
be grateful
Yeah.
together.
And I'm going to prove my point now. That this is lethal. You observe the clothing damage and the current state of delirium. Now that's a pony, which is significantly heavier than a human being, and therefore it takes longer for this to happen. But that means the gas inside the manticore is actually lethal or toxic. There's a difference. Which means that breathing it in is going to cause delirium and states of inability to function. The damage to her clothing, which only took 6.2 seconds, is the equivalent damage as having an entire bathtub of hydrofluoric acid dumped over me.
Jesus Christ.
Because clothes are known to be one of the most resilient things to dissolve. Yeah, by the way, if you fall in a vat of acid, you'll dissolve before your clothes. Freak.
Horrifying.
Horrifying, but also pretty. So, that's a terrible suicide intervention. That's one of the worst ones I've ever seen. Who wants to see it? So we're going to set the stakes.
To help you decide something?
That this is a good suicide
Romulus
intervention.
wants me to catch this
And
spell.
if this would have been legal.
The answer is no.
Well, should be I, because I wouldn't even.
As you can see, I had to get Russian subtitles when I originally get this clip.
Das T-Dog.
I thought you were.
The bad part is I can read them.
The answer is still no. Why would you want to be turned into stone?
Because I'm a relic of a bygone age. I belong in a museum, safe, preserved, untouched.
Bullshit.
I don't belong in this time.
Twilight, bring back Princess again.
Not right.
She said no multiple times already. Yeah, but she said no in the wrong way. She's still entertaining his conversation.
Don't be disappointed when I come.
But you're not.
She's not physically stopping him.
Dragon said you want to try.
Best creature! Yes!
You don't believe it.
I'm afraid it's too lost.
Physically stops him from going to his suicide. Physically stands in the way. Makes it impossible to complete the journey.
But I'm afraid old stories like
That's step one.
aren't worth anything in this day and age.
Fine. Brony no one tell Fiona story.
Step two.
Fiona tell Brony.
Tell the person in question how they're important to
When
you
Fiona comes to Brony,
and why they matter to you specifically.
Fiona find friends.
Make it in that moment when the only thing they have to focus on
Brave and
is you.
strong as Yak. Not afraid. Hero. When Fiona grow up, Fiona wants to be just like Professor Rockland.
Well,
Three, continue to be there. Continue to reach out, be their
I
friend,
suppose the least I could do is tell you the
give them an opportunity to talk back. And after many months of therapy, you come to the finale of a suicide intervention, giving the person a new purpose in life that makes the suicide less appealing. When I talked about rejection at the start of this panel, I also meant reject suicide. Because guess what? I can't fix death. Hold on. We're almost to questions. We have an hour. So, physically stop them. Remove the tools or instruments. Get in the way. Do whatever it takes. They don't want to kill you. They want to kill themselves. 2, make them listen. Stand by them. Tell them it's okay, even no matter how much it's not. And work through it and make them understand they matter to you. Because once they understand they matter to you, the whole mentality of suicide dies. Because it's nobody, I don't matter to anybody is where it started. 3, get them into therapy, give them something to do, keep their mind away from it. And 4, after many months, you will be able to give them a new purpose in life and a new thing that makes it where suicide is easy to reject. Where they can wake up in the morning and go, not today, angel of death, and keep going. I have PTSD from 2 different sources, an abusive alcoholic father and compact. I have fits in my head. I have nightmares every single night. Some days I have waking nightmares. For those who don't know what that is, it means I literally wake up and the dream continues.
Oh, God.
With full hallucinations. And yet, every morning, I look over and I say, not today. Keep going. I've been physically dead 3 times. As in my heart has stopped. And it starts back up. I don't know why. Maybe because I wake up in the morning and go, God saw fit for me to draw breath, I'm going to make it all of your problems. But the show teaches us one final lesson in Generation 4. One last tidbit that we seem to forget when our friends pass away. In 2020, 2, 1 month before the vaccine rollout, my best friend died from COVID because his brother had to go to church despite everyone in the house giving him every other option besides physically being there. He got the entire family sick. He did permanent damage to his elderly parents. And my best friend went to the hospital and died of a stroke a month later after he began coma. He never woke up. When I went to his funeral, there's a scar on my left hand where I broke 2 of his brother's teeth out. His mother stood in front of me when his brother threatened to call the cops and said, "Fine, do it. I'll tell them I hit you." And then kicked him out of his own brother's funeral. And I would say my best friend is ashamed I did that. What's the final lesson that the show wants to show us? Come on, do this.
Stupid laptop boy.
You are a living legacy of every human being, animal, and sentient individual, even if they're artificial intelligence, don't get me started on that, that you touched. You are a living record of everyone who has touched you, whether they have touched you through a photograph, a novel, or by physically being in the same room as you. Once they're dead, you are all that is left. Every action you do reflects upon them. Many people get ancestor worship wrong when you come to Native Americans and Eastern cultures. It's not shame and gloom and tradition. It's, would my ancestor, would my dead best friend stand here beside me, swell their chest, look at me and go, "I am proud"? Or would they say, "I am ashamed"? And if it's the latter, would they be right? It's that simple. Can you say that everyone you know who isn't here right now would look at you and go, "I am proud"? And if you can't say that, if any of them would say, "I am ashamed," can you say they're right? And if they are, how do you fix it? That's what it means to keep living. And that's what makes living worth it. That's what makes it wondrous. When I am dead in 100 years, my novels will still be in a library somewhere. Or in someone's house. Someone will pick them up, reach back into the past and touch them. And then they become a legacy of what I wrote. When I am dead in 100 years, my grandchildren's grandchildren will still be affected by decisions I made. And will still know me through some time.
You know, that camping thing is so cute. Why don't you go do it? Somewhere far away from here. Well,
Have you ever bargained so hard you changed the season of the year?
Yeah, Barbie.
just have to stop winter.
Sadness.
So sad. Just what are we going to do?
Or grief.
Can't you? Buck up, Sugar Cube. Just blame yourself these days. Whatever.
Depression.
I think so. I feel better.
But even in
Really
death,
do. Thanks,
there is
everything.
something else.
I don't know what I'd do without you.
Acceptance
Him.
and hope.
Oh, Tank. I'm sure gonna miss you.
Ah. I said my heart is stopped 3 times. I don't greet death with sadness. I greet her with a smile. For in my eyes, she is beautiful and necessary. And by accepting that, I can face her on any given day, anywhere, and simply say, not yet. Find that key. Because we've all lost someone in the last 3 years to something. Even if they were a distant friend. Or someone you barely knew. If you go on your Facebook right now and have more than 100 friends, 2 of them are dead on average. That's someone you knew well enough to actually hit 3 buttons and then look at a few pictures. They're gone. I have 326 friends on Facebook. 78 of them are gone.
A ding dong. Derp
There
derp.
is, for all the mistakes that have been made in this, there is hope. And we have to find it and share it. Because we have hope within us from 10 years of one. And we come together to celebrate it. But we must drag the people who are new here with open arms. Teach them of the glory and happiness of friendship. Teach them what it means to like each other regardless of where we're from, the color of our skin, the scars we wear. Just be happy they're here. It's something we've forgotten in the mess that is social media, in the outrage machine that is Twitter. And it's okay to deadneck Twitter so long as Elon Musk does it to his daughter on Twitter.
Yeah, seriously. I will still call Twitter.
You forget that there's an actual person and that you should step away and let it go. And instead ask them, why are you so mad? How do we make it happy again? Because when you do, hope is reborn. When you quest after something with love instead of hatred, you find and then you can fly again. I didn't promise a thing at the end, and to explain and show that, I will need 10 minutes. So we have 13 minutes for questions. 13 minutes and 19 seconds. Take your time. I will try to take all of them I can. I will want one in a minute. Yes.
Right. First of all, thanks for being here, guys. Full house, almost full house. Thank you. Talk to you guys. Almost full house this year. Last year I was here. It was not so good. This year, wow. Thank you so much. Supporting this one is always good to do. Second, my grandma died on September 20th last year. My grandma died on September 20th last year from heart failure. And I'm surprised I'm not crying right now. So, one, the Answers to Worship thing hit especially hard. Thank you for that. And second, I think since I am here right now, despite a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not going to talk about right now, yeah, I think she'd be pretty proud of me. especially since I got that promotion last year. I think she'd be pretty dang proud of me right now. So that is a thing I'll take with me from this point. Thank you so much.